We'll start by coming over here to the top left, and we're going to click on this little eye icon. You're going to see that there are these 3 planes. This point in the middle, it's the point where we create all parts from. If I click on this arrow and I look at all of the features inside this folder, you're going to see we have the origin, and it's denoted with an O. These 3 lines are axes. And we also have these 3 planes. I'm going to right click, constrained orbit. I can rotate the origin. I'm going to click on this plane, XY, and I'm going to click here on create sketch. It's going to automatically show me normal to the XY plane. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click on line. This is a new toolbar that opens because we're now inside a sketch. I'm going to click on it. I can click once. And as I drag around, you're going to see that it's creating that line. Click again. I can create more lines, but I'm just going to hit escape. So now I have my line segment here. I can click on a point and drag. I can click on this point and drag. I can click on the line itself and drag it around and move it wherever I want. I'm going to take this point and I'm going to drag it until it touches the origin. And you're going to notice that if I move this line around, that point is always constrained to the origin. The second point is free. It can go anywhere. We don't want it to be free. I'm going to click on a line, and then I'm going to come over here. This is my constraints toolbar. I'm going to click on horizontal/vertical. That's automatically going to make it horizontal. If I click on this constraint and hit delete, now I can move that line freely again. I'm going to move it so it's almost straight, and then I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to click again on horizontal/vertical, and now it's vertical. I'm going to click on line, and I'm going to click on this point here, drag it out so it's horizontal, and then make another line down. I want to make this line, the end of it, lined up with the origin. Just kind of hover over the origin, and as I drag out, you're going to see that there are those dotted lines that just kind of come up, and I can just place it here. I'm going to close this shape. This closed shape now has this kind of light blue tint to it. It's Fusion telling us that this is a closed shape. I'm going to click escape. I'm going to finish my sketch. Okay, we are now not in a sketch anymore. Now we're back to being in our part. I'm going to click on extrude. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to click on orbit, and I'm going to just orbit around, and I'm going to take this arrow, which just showed up, click on it, drag out, and we can also choose to add an angle on the fly. But we're going to keep that at 0 degrees, and we're just going to hit OK. We want to be able to orbit around this shape a little bit better. So come over here to the top right, and I'm going to introduce you to the view cube. As you hover over the view cube, you're going to see all these different edges and faces light up. Click on the corner, and you're going to see that it rotates to the corner. Click on the edge, and you're going to see that it rotates to the edge. Click on this back edge, you're going to see it rotates to the back edge. We can also click on these different arrows, and that's going to let you rotate. We can rotate corner to corner. Let's say we want to make a change to the way that this extrusion is shaped. I can come down here to the bottom left, and this is my timeline. You'll notice that there's a play button. There's a fast forward and a rewind. If I hit rewind, it's going to move back in time, and it's only going to show sketch 1. If I click again, you're going to see that it goes all the way to the beginning. It's a timeline, a history of what we've made. I'm going to click on the next step arrow 2 times to come back to where we are, and I'm going to right click on that first thing we did, the sketch, edit sketch. Now we're back inside the sketch. You can see the toolbars have changed. I'm going to come here to line. I'm going to click here in the corner. I'm just going to make 2 lines, and click escape on the keyboard. You're going to have to get used to hitting escape on the keyboard many times. Anytime that you click on one of these sketch features and you want to get out of the sketch feature, see how it's highlighted? You're going to have to hit escape, click on this top line, hit delete. Now my profile has changed and you can see that my close shape has changed. Hit finish sketch. I can also make a change to the length of this extrusion. And really an extrusion is one shape, one closed shape, which is stretched out across just one direction. So I'm going to right click and hit edit feature. And you're going to see that I can click and drag the arrow and I can change the length of it. If we come here to our settings, I can make it symmetric and have it be two directions. I can choose for it to be, instead of just one side like we had, two sides, and I can move them individually. So you see side 1 and side 2. I can drag this in. I could drag this out. I can make this side long and this side really short, or this side really short, this side really long. I can type in exact values for what I want. It's not just that it's over one profile. See where it says taper angle? I'm gonna put an angle here. I'm gonna make this 5 degrees. It drafts it out, see that? And we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. Make this 10 degrees and hit OK. The next thing we're gonna do is create another sketch. Click on YZ and you can see the YZ plane comes up highlighted. Click on create sketch. It's going to rotate it so we're looking normal to that sketch. Now I'm going to come over here to center diameter circle. We're going to create a circle. Click right here. When I move my mouse, it'll create that circle. I'm going to click again and hit escape. I'm going to click on this center point and drag it until it touches the origin. And now it's right on the origin. It's right on that 0 point. So now, since it's constrained to that 0 point, can't move from it, I can drag this out and drag this in, and it can only become bigger or smaller. So I'm going to make it, say, this size. And we're also going to come over here and click on line, and I'm going to create a line. I'm going to click down once and click again to create it, hit escape. This time we're going to come over here to where it says sketch dimension, or you can click D on your keyboard. So click on it, click on the origin, click on that line, and it will create a dimension between them. When I click, it highlights it automatically. So if I type in, say, 0.2 and hit enter, it will make it 0.2. From here, hit escape. We're going to finish sketch. I'm going to come over here to Revolve. Click on Revolve. The profile is selected already. Remember how when we did an extrusion, we had that profile that was stretched out? This is the same thing. It's just a different way of doing it. Instead of stretching it out, see that little arrow by the emblem? Instead of stretching it up, we're going to rotate it around this line. The selection for axis, it's asking us what we want to use for the axis. It's already highlighted because the profile is automatically selected because it's the only closed shape in this sketch. So the software automatically picks it up. I'm going to click right here. We're going to just rotate this. Under operation, join is selected. We want to join whatever we're doing to our original part that we made, our original body. There's one side for the direction. You can see that what it's done is it's rotated it across the line and it's rotated it all the way to the end. So instead of one side, we can choose to do two sides, revolve coming from two directions, and you can see how I'm controlling that. Or we can make it symmetric, and you can see how it's coming out from that sketch symmetrically. But what we're going to stick with is one side. We're not going to go all the way across. We're going to leave it 270. Extent, we'll just leave it as it is, partial, because that's what it is. It's a partial torus. We're just going to hit OK. And now what we've done is we've created another body, and that body is joined to the original extrusion body that we made. So this is all one solid piece. It's all one solid body. We're going to come and create a third sketch. Let's do it this time on the XY plane. Hit create sketch. I'm going to click on 2-point rectangle, click and drag out. It's going to create a rectangle this time. It's going to save us some time. Basically what this has done is, instead of just the line where you have to drag out each one on its own, the rectangle creates the 4 lines for you, all connected and all with these horizontal and vertical constraints built in. So it's a time saver. We have our close profile. Now hit finish sketch. There are those 3 planes, 1, 2, 3. We want to create a new plane. I'm going to come here to offset plane, select the XY plane. It happens to be the same plane that we made this first sketch on. You can see how it's now aligned with that original plane. But what I'm going to do is drag out this arrow, -0.5. You'll see how that plane is over here? Let me just hide what we did for a second so I can show you. We made a second plane moved out. What I want to do is create a sketch on this new plane that we made. And I'm going to make it an ellipse. So click on this down arrow and click on ellipse. And what we're going to do is we're going to just click within this area and drag out and hit escape, hit finish sketch, and you can see those 2 shapes, they're in front of one another. So what we want to do now is we're going to come to create. You can see that now that we're out of the sketch, we have our toolbar, our tools, which are solid tools. And I'm going to click on the loft, and I'm going to select this closed profile, and I'll also select this closed profile. I'm going to hit OK. And once I hit OK, you're going to see that this shape is created. It connected these 2 shapes to each other. That's kind of obvious. I can come back here, right click in the timeline, edit the sketch, and I can, just as before, change this shape. And now it's going to be like this. And it allowed me to loft a closed shape with only rounds to a closed shape with hard edges. And you can see that it's able to do that. Well, maybe I don't want hard edges. Maybe I want to soften these edges. We're going to come over here and click on Fillet. And we're going to select these edges. Free orbit, orbit around. Click on these, and I'm going to drag this arrow, and as I drag it, you're going to see those lines are now going to be curved. So I'm going to make it look something like this, approximately, and hit OK. And you can see that it has solved that issue for us. Now, this is one way to tackle the problem. You can see that filleting has made this fillet larger, and then all the way at the end, the fillet disappears over the length. So I'm going to right-click and delete that fillet. And instead, I'm going to right-click on Sketch 3, the sketch of this shape. It looks like this. Click on it, and I'm going to select this line, and it will automatically create that curve for us. And I'll do it here as well. And I'll do it here as well. and I'll do it here as well. I'm going to hit finish sketch, and now look at it. Look at how different it looks. These are two different ways of doing the same thing. Sometimes using different tools leads to a different effect, and that effect can be sometimes a big difference. Let's create another plane like we did before. I'm going to come over here to offset plane, and I'm going to select the XZ plane. As I drag it up, doesn't really matter exactly where it is, and hit OK. Just like before, we're going to click on it, create a sketch. This time, the sketch is going to be a circle. Click on the origin, the center point, and drag out, hit finish sketch, and we're going to free orbit. So, you know what's interesting? I created this new sketch, and because I put it on the origin, even though the plane is all the way up here, it still lined it up with the origin. If we look right at it from the top, it's aligned with the origin. And you can see that there's a black dot in the middle of the circle because that point is constrained. It can't move anywhere. And the outside of the circle is blue. Blue means it's not constrained. It means it's free to move as much as we want. This time, we're going to click on the YZ plane, and I'm going to create a sketch. We're going to come over here now to Fit Point Spline. I'm going to click on this point. We're clicking on the point that's in the center of the circle, but we're doing it just from the edge of the circle. That's why it looks like it's a line, but really if you rotate it, I'm going to click here, and then click here, and create a couple more points, and hit enter when you're done. Okay, so what is this? We have all of these points, and we have a curve that follows through those points. It's called interpolar because it's going through these points. You have these lines, these handles that you can click on, and you can move them using these lines. I can also click on the points themselves and just drag them around to wherever I want. I could put this here, can move this one here. Actually, I'm gonna take this one at the end, and I'm gonna make it like that. See how it's like really close here? Okay. So I'm going to hit finish sketch, and I'm gonna come to my sweep under create. And for the profile, I'm gonna select this circle. And if I click on path, I'm gonna click on the path. Now, there's an error. It doesn't want to create this. Let's look at what the error says. It says the body would intersect itself. What does that mean? Let's cancel out of this. Okay, let's not freak out. We're going to try to solve this. I'm going to click on this point and drag it out. Remember how I said before, I'm going to make it like this and it's really close here? Well, I'm just going to drag it out, and I'm going to also kind of drag this one in, and you can see now the line is much more predictable of a shape. And now I'm going to come back and I'm going to try it again. I'm going to click on sweep. I'm going to select the profile, and I'm going to select the path. And now it works. So when you look at sweep, think about a snake, because that's kind of what it does. It's taking this shape and it's orienting it across this path. So I'm going to show you another orientation thing. If we click under orientation, right now, this profile is perpendicular to the path, but I can also click it and make it parallel. And it doesn't want to do it. So go back to perpendicular, hit OK, and we're going to make the circle much smaller. So come over here to the sketch, right click, it's this sketch right here, hit edit sketch, and I'm just going to make that circle way smaller. and hit Finish Sketch. And now we're going to right-click, edit this feature, and we're going to make it parallel. Now we have another error still when we're trying to make the orientation parallel. You can see a region of the path is parallel with the swept profile. So the issue here is that as the profile is being made, it's parallel to this sketch, and since it's parallel, it's not possible for it to make it across this line. Let me show you what that is, because it's a little bit hard to explain it. I'm going to hit cancel. I'm going to edit this once more. And I'm just going to drag this line and put it up here. And now, when we edit the feature again, we'll make it parallel, and it's going to work. Okay, so why did it work? Why did that happen? Let's hit OK, and let me show you. So this profile, the circles, if you were to cut this shape parallel this way, and I can show you what that looks like. If you were to cut this shape horizontally parallel to this shape, it's creating circles that are all horizontal. And even here, it's creating the profile, the circles, all horizontally. If I were to slice this, like I said, horizontally, you would see that the profile is always a perfect circle all the way through the sweep, and it's always a circle. And the reason why it failed before is because when it tried to make it down over here, the circle would disappear. You can't go backwards creating the circle. If I edit the feature and I go back to perpendicular, you can see how it changes back and forth. It's a subtle thing, but it's definitely a very powerful tool if you use these two different orientations and you understand how they work. And just like with the extrusion, I can give it a taper angle. I can give it an angle of 5 degrees and have it come out big at the end. And if I wanted to, I could also give it a twist angle. So now it's twisting as it's coming up. Let's see what happens if I make it very extreme. So it's not really changing the shape that much, but it is twisting across the profile. Let's say that for some reason we want to put a hole in this shape. Well, I'm going to click on Create Sketch, and I'm going to click on this YZ plane, and here I'm going to click on Center Diameter Circle again, and I'll just drag out a circle that kind of intersects that shape, and hit Finish Sketch. And we're going to come to Extrusion again, but instead of where it says Operation New Body, we're going to click on Cut. And we will make sure that our cut is intersecting this body. So I'm going to make the direction, I'm going to make it symmetric. And you're going to see how it's cutting all the way through the shape. I'm going to hit OK. And now we see how it's cut into it. And anytime that you have a sharp edge, you can always come to Fillet, click on that sharp edge, and as I drag in, you see that I can nullify that edge and hit OK. We're going to navigate back to this loft that we made, and I'm going to click on this top face. I'm going to come over here and click Modify and click Shell. And with this selected, I'm going to drag this arrow. And when we see it compute and hit OK, we're going to see that it has now shelled out, it has hollowed out this shape. We can do it here on our toroid, our donut, if we click on shell and click on this face, and we can drag that arrow and hollow it out with a thickness, and this value is the thickness of the wall, and hit OK. And with all of these things, if you come to Utilities and then Section Analysis, we can select any flat face. So I'm just going to select this flat face here. And as I drag across, we can see what these shapes look like within. So we're going to leave it here for this lesson and follow me on to the next lesson to continue learning Fusion.